great symphony orchestra is much like a basketball dream team. It's full of great artists who have to be precise technicians and fabulous soloists in their own right. But ultimately, they've got to get it together. They have to forge their talents into one cohesive consciousness. Fundamentally, making great music is about synchronizing your reaction time. Right in the middle of the orchestra sit the woodwinds, tricky, perky, able to interject just the right note in the right place. The percussion lay back a lot of the time, but when necessary, they have to drive the performance home. The thunder of O'Neill, Barclay, explosive, expressive. Karl Malone, inspired. To the strings, it's entrusted the most suave singing lines in the whole orchestra. Reggie Miller, Mitch Richmond, virtuosos. In terms of sheer power, though, it's the brass making the big climaxes pay off. Grant Hill bursting with vitality. As for Coach Lenny Wilkins, I can just say there's an old saying that says there are no great orchestras without great conductors. And on those nights, when the chemistry really works, you can be sure you're going to bring down the house.
Let's do it. About 2 hours ago, one of the NBA's bright young stars, Grant Hill of the Detroit Pistons, making his way into the arena back home at the Palace, among the best basketball players in the world. It is a capacity crowd, better than 21,000 turning out of the Palace of Auburn Hills in anticipation of the first look at the team that will represent the United States at the upcoming Olympics in Atlanta. This afternoon, it's the first of 5 exhibition games for the Dream Team, and today they'll face a group of college all-stars who will compete in a championship tournament later on this summer. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Matt Guokas, and we're delighted to be with you for the start of NBC's coverage of Olympic basketball. And Matt, already there have been so many comparisons to this year's Dream Team as in contrast, taking a look back at the original Dream Team. Comparisons that, of course, are very difficult to make, but to this point, what stands out most about this 1996 edition?
Well, Marv, it just doesn't get any better at the center position. The talent is overwhelming. Now, with Akeem Olajuwon becoming a citizen in 1993 in his fabulous career, 2 NBA championships, he takes his rightful place among the best. David Robinson will be going into the record books. He's the only American male to play in 3 Olympic basketball competitions. And Shaquille O'Neal, a member of Dream Team 2, MVP of the '94 World Championship, and did it as a non-starter. And at some point, Coach Lenny Wilkins wants to get these 3 big men on the floor at the same time. Now, that should be fun to watch.
Well, it may not be that much fun for the opponent today, the U.S. Select Team, a team that is led by the All-American out of Wake Forest, Tim Duncan, a familiar name to college basketball fans across the nation. Now, the U.S. Select Team has already been introduced to the crowd. We're about set to hear the introduction of the Dream Team. Let's go to the voice of the Palace, Ken Calvert.
Ladies and gentlemen, now let's meet 12 of the greatest basketball players in the world. The USA Basketball Dream Team. A forward, 6'6", from the Phoenix Suns. A number 4, Charles Barkley. A forward, 6'7", from the Orlando Magic. A number 6, Anthony Hardaway. A center, 7'1", from the San Antonio Spurs. Number 7, David Robinson. A forward, 6'5", 6'7", from the Chicago Bulls. Number 8, Scottie Pippen. A guard, 6'5", from the Sacramento Kings. Number 9, Mitch Richmond. A guard, 6'7", from the Indiana Pacers. Number 10, Reggie Miller. A forward, 6'9", from the Utah Jazz. Number 11, Karl Malone. A guard, 6'1", also from the Utah Jazz. Number 12, John Stockton. A center, 7'1", from the Orlando Magic, Shaquille O'Neal. A guard, 6'4", from the Seattle Supersonics, number 14, Gary Payton. A center at 7 feet from the Houston Rockets, number 15, Hakeem Olajuwon. And the forward, 6'7", from the Detroit Pistons, wearing number 4, Grant Hill. The head coach of the Dream Team is Lenny Wilkens.
So a rousing ovation for the Dream Team as they begin their 5-game exhibition tour. We'll be back with the opening tip in a moment.
AT&T, Centennial Olympic Games partner. By Texaco Clean System 3 gasolines. By Sprite, image is nothing, thirst is everything. Obey your thirst, Sprite. And by the Post Cereal Company. Post, breakfast made right.
Well, back at the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan, we are joined on the sideline by one of women's basketball's premier players, a member of the 1984 U.S. gold medal winning team in Los Angeles, and the person who claims to have taught her brother Reggie Miller all he knows about defense. Here is Cheryl Miller. Cheryl?
And Marv, I am still claiming that. But Marv and Matt, maybe you remember it was only 8 years ago that our Olympic teams were solely comprised of college players. But today, these 20-year-olds will face an NBA team full of legends in the making. Now, a lot of these young players, just to play against the Dream Team will be the ultimate challenge. And maybe with some others, it might be the defining of their basketball careers. I had the opportunity to talk to Tim Duncan earlier and ask him how he felt about going against Shaq and Hakeem Olajuwon and everybody else. And he said, hey, Cheryl, the theme for today is just to simply hold our own. And, guys, I got a feeling that the rest of the team is definitely just trying to hold their own. Guys?
All right, thank you, Cheryl. As we check out the Kraft starting lineups, and Lenny Wilkens going with a backcourt of John Stockton and Reggie Miller, Shaquille O'Neal at center, and Karl Malone and the hometown favorite Grant Hill are up front. For the U.S. select team, backcourt of Brevin Knight out of Stanford, Anthony Parker from Bradley, Tim Duncan, who Cheryl referred to from Wake Forest, starting at center with Providence College's Austin Crocier and Paul Pierce out of Kansas. And here's Miller for 3 to open it up.
Well, I'm sure the select team is going to see plenty of hard, tough screens like that. And of course, we have a mismatch of monumental proportions here. Of course, the select team giving way to a lot of experience and talent, mostly.
Well, the final score does not figure to be pretty, but a three-pointer by Shea Seals of Tulsa has tied the game at 3. So it is Seals back in the starting lineup rather than Paul Pierce. Here's Karl Malone. And the Dream Team is up by the score of 5-3. We talked with the select team coach Mike Montgomery. Nice penetration by Knight, but it was doubled up by O'Neal. And here's Duncan. And he's tied the game at 5. What is the point of view of the select team coach, Mike Montgomery? He told us their approach is that this is for the dream team to help prepare them. Don't look at this strictly as a wipeout. He said the kids are excited. There certainly is a sense of apprehension. Some may be in awe, but he does not want his guys to be embarrassed. But he told us this would be forthcoming if Knight tried to drive the lane.
Well, Brevin Knight is a good little penetrator out of the Pac-10. Goes in there again. This time does get the shot off. Oh! Finally falls. Beautiful play by Brevin Knight, the senior out of Stanford.
Very quick, excellent penetrator on the college level. He's 1 for 2. He had the first one rejected and was able to hit high off the glass. The green team trailing 7-5, and Karl Malone threw the foul. And there is Mike Montgomery out of Long Beach, California. He has been head coach at Stanford the past 10 years, head coach of Montana for 8 years. Last 2 years got to the second round of the NCAA, and both times lost to UMass.
Now, there is an international rule that you have to take your free throw within 5 seconds. If you'll remember, during the Western Conference Finals, Utah against Seattle, the crowd in Seattle counting down Karl Malone, because in the NBA it's a 10-second rule, so Karl is getting it off a lot quicker.
Karl Malone is the one player that could be affected by that international rule. But you can see he did work on it. Here is Knight. Kept alive by Seals. And the select team with a 9-6 advantage.
Oh, they have to be loving this. They're saying, who are these guys? Who's this dream team?
Karl Malone not able to hit. Duncan was able to knock it off the cylinder. You can't do that. And Shaquille O'Neal ripping it down.
And with some emphasis, as Shaq yelling at his teammates on the way down, I think they're a little bit upset right now that they're trailing by 1 point in this ballgame, as this young group of players have come out and look very confident.
Crocier, guarded by Malone. Seals gets inside. Shea Seals entering his senior year at Tulsa, averaged 17 a game to lead Tulsa. 11-8 the score. The select team with the lead. Knight off the fake. Nice feed. And put home by Anthony Parker. Now remember, right throughout the 92 Olympics in Barcelona, Chuck Daly never did call a timeout. Here's another look at that feed to Parker.
Well, nice to see Parker able to finish that play at the offensive end, because he started it at the defensive end with a terrific defensive play against Shaquille O'Neal on that fast break, able to strip him before he could up and dunk it.
Oh, Knight got the step. Seals, yes. Make it 15-8 for the USA select team. Stop the game right here, says Mike Montgomery.
Well, Brevin Knight having his way with John Stockton, able to do whatever he wants.
The follow by Grant Hill. And it is 15-10. John Stockton, who played hurt during the course of the Western Conference Final Series, but he says he's okay. John Stockton injury hit right throughout the Olympics in Barcelona, so did not see that much action. Here's O'Neal with a series of moves, and Shaquille is blocked by Crocier. Knight leads the break. Pretty feed for Parker. And the USA select team leads 17-10, and they have the crowd on their side here at the Star.
Not only the crowd, but the bench players for the select team up as well, as they can't believe it. This team has struggled the last 2 days of practice.
Karl Malone cuts it to a 5-point lead, and they've been together for only 6 days. A team that will compete in August in Puerto Rico, seeking to qualify for the World Championships in Australia next summer. Miller on the break and blew the reverse. This team comprised of players 22 years of age and younger. Crocier posting up and fouled by Malone. In effect, if the NBA players were not eligible for the Olympics, some of these players would make the U.S. team, a field that would also include, as you check out the block by Crocier, a field that would also include many of the underclassmen who came out for the NBA draft, such as Stephon Marbury and Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and Marcus Camby, Lorenzen Wright. So this lineup would have been a bit different, although these guys are certainly holding their own here at the early going.
And they've had a strange workout situation. It was about a month ago that they were involved in trials out in Colorado Springs. Now come in for 5 days for this and don't really get after it again for about another 20 days.
There was certainly apprehension on the part of the USA select team, which might have caused a sleepless night for a number of their players.
I think if I had an awful dream last night, I think it might be that that Shaq dunked on me, or Gary Payton ripped me, or I get crossed over by a big fella like Karl Malone or somebody.
An awful dream would be us not scoring a point in the game or whatever for the first 10 minutes.
I guess the worst thing I could think of is probably switching and having to guard Shaq or somebody like that down in the post. I mean, that's the worst thing I could think of.
Well, Matt, the 7-point lead, I don't think was in their dreams, their wildest dreams.
That had to be a lot of fun for Coach Mike Montgomery during that timeout, talking very positively to his team about the good things that they're doing right now, and probably saying, don't think about anything, just keep doing it.
See the excellent shooting by the select team, 8 of 10 from the field, led by Shea Seals from Tulsa. Seals is hit on 4 out of 4. Here's Knight on a quick release.
Well, we're just not seeing any kind of defensive pressure by the Dream Teamers so far. As John Sexton is just letting Brevin Knight go wherever he wants. Whoa.
And it is called blue ball. The Dream Team will hold on. The officials are Lonnie Dixon out of the WAC Conference, Wayne Unruh from the Missouri Valley Conference.
Brevin Knight going into his senior year, one of the top point guards in the country, along with Jacques Vaughn out of Kansas, and really has played very well in the past couple of seasons against Pius Edney at UCLA a couple of years ago. And last year, or a year before, I should say, against Damon Stoudemire, he kind of held his own with those players, and Mike Montgomery thinks that Brevin Knight will be a first-rounder next June.
Foul on Hill. Scottie Pippen getting set to check in. First substitution for the Dream Team, and he will replace Grant Hill.
Well, not that Grant Hill is not a good defensive player, but anytime Scottie Pippen steps on the floor, your whole defensive concept picks up dramatically.
And the excellent shooting continues. Crocier with a second field goal. Toby Bailey out of UCLA has come on for the first time off the steal. This is Bailey. Pulls it up against fellow UCLA alum Reggie Miller. Then Stockton with the intercept. Miller for 3. Reggie opened the game by hitting the three-pointer.
That's a good defensive job by Tim Duncan, who actually slowed up the dribble of John Stockton and still protected the lane against big people.
And a 3 for Toby Bailey. First team all Pac-10 entering his junior season with the Bruins of UCLA. 24-12, the Dream Team trailing by the 12 points. Scottie Pippen dumps it off. Here's Shaquille O'Neal. Remember, there was some concern as to whether Scottie Pippen would play for the Olympic team, coming off sort of ailments. Seals, he is just unconscious. Shea Seals extends to a 26-14 lead. Chicago Bulls preferring that Pippen sit it out, but he said he wanted to play. According to Lenny Wilkins, he has looked very sharp. In fact, he told Glenn that he would not need surgery.
Well, he does not want to get it. Obviously, the Chicago Bulls want to do whatever best for Scottie in that particular department. You mentioned they're not really happy with him him playing in this, but Scottie Pippen with 3 weeks off since the finals. Anytime during that second half of the season when he had any chance to rest, he would always come back much stronger. But he really labored with the back, knee, and ankle injuries.
Here's Pippen with his first field goal attempt. You saw Charles Barkley check in for the first time. Gary Payton is on the floor. Gary Payton replacing the injured Glenn Robinson. And Maurice Taylor out of Michigan. Grew up here in Detroit, receiving a ovation during the introduction of the starting lineups. Maurice Taylor with his first field goal, 28-16. The green team is trailing. Nice pass. Barkley with the setup for O'Neal. And Shaquille will go to the line.
Charles Barkley bringing his team together along with Scottie Pippen and talking. Beautiful play here by Charles Barkley, attacking the basket, drawing Tim Duncan to help, and then a good effort by Duncan to get a good chunk of that basketball. I'm really surprised, and I think Tim Duncan has done a nice defensive job with Shaquille O'Neal. He has not done a lot of things that some of the veteran centers in the NBA do, is immediately reach out and push as Shaq starts to make the move into the lane or toward the basket. And Tim Duncan has shown a lot of discipline with his defense in the early going.
Duncan committing his first foul, sitting down. So Shaquille O'Neal, only 54% at the line during the regular season, converts 1 of 2. The select team now in front 28-17 with 12 and a half remaining in this first half.
It'll be interesting to see what Brevin Knight can do against Gary Payton right now. This is why Payton has been added to the team, to put some pressure on in the backcourt and disrupt opponents' offense.
And Barkley with a hustle play to knock it free. This is Brevin Knight operating at point guard. Figures to play most of the way, and a foul is called. A nice setup for Brian Skinner, who had just checked in. Brian Skinner looking very good in the workouts during the week. Very strong, very physical player.
Well, first of all, you're not supposed to be able to penetrate and get into the lane against Gary Payton the way Brevin Knight did, and he received a nice round of applause from the crowd and his bench. He did a terrific job of getting the select team off to a terrific start. Lenny Wilkins called Payton over during that little break there to tell him how to play Brevin Knight, as far as you got to give ground on this guy. You have to respect his drive, make him hit something from the outside. But right now, Payton won't have to worry about it as Knight gets a breather.
Replaced by Chauncey Phillips, 6'3" guard out of Colorado. You see parallels between Brevin Knight and perhaps Tyus Edney, now with the Sacramento Kings.
Very similar. However, they list Brevin Knight at 5'10". That is generous.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit closer to the 5'8", 5'9" area, if that. But if you're, it doesn't matter how big you are. If you can get in the lane, make some shots from the perimeter, Tyus Edney has shown you can be an effective player in this league. He had a good rookie season with Sacramento.
Speaking of the Kings, Mitch Richmond of Sacramento has come on for the first time, and David Robinson has checked in. Robinson called for the pushing foul, and a timeout is taken. 11:53 to go. First half in a surprise 12-point lead for the U.S. select team. Well, it was a busy first week for the Green team, and Texaco brings you some of their moments on the road. First thing they had to do was get their picture taken, and Charles Barkley always enjoying the moment.
If you guys, anyone wants to do weight training, get with Roger. You know, we can set it up. If you want to do it as a group, then we'll stay for a few minutes and do it as a group.
In the weight room, Grant Hill and Shaquille O'Neal going to work.
Get a zoom lens, make it look bigger.
Wide angle looks huge.
Wide angle looks huge, huh?
Well, Grant Hill asking, does the zoom lens add to the muscular look? Let's check in with Cheryl Miller. Cheryl?
Thanks a lot, Marv. Well, Lenny Wilkins obviously not happy being down by 12. Seems to feel that the problem is with the point guard. They're defending. The point guard hasn't been very good. They got to stop the penetration. Certainly wasn't the case when Brevin Knight was in the game. Guys?
All right, thank you, Cheryl. Brevin Knight sitting it out right now. It is Chauncey Phillips of Colorado at the point guard position, and Barkley on the follow. So for Charles Barkley, his first field goal, and it's a 10-point lead for the U.S. select team.
And those are the kind of plays that the Dream Team is going to get anytime they can get their opponent to miss a shot or turn the ball over, or at least not even take a good shot. They'll just be able to get out and steamroll people at the other end, but when they have to keep taking it out of the net, that makes you play half-court basketball.
Kobe Bailey with another 3. Matt, watching the practice sessions, and we were not alone in the observation as we were checking out this USA select team. David Robinson is fouled. The major point was, you know, these guys don't have much from the outside. Not able to shoot the ball, but that has not been the case here at the start.
Now, David Robinson making a strong move into the post there, getting around Skinner, getting some help over there from Maurice Taylor as well. First of all, David Robinson looks cut. He looks like he, I don't mean cut in a bleeding kind of way, but his body is really in terrific shape right now. May have even lost a little bit of weight and got a little bit muscular. As David Robinson is no stranger to that free throw line, goes about 10 times a game during the regular season.
And a 75% free throw shooter. 32-20 the score. The select team 13 of 16 from the field. Here is Phillips. And Pippen tried to put it behind the back and lost it. Recaptured by Barkley. Barkley trying to set it up. Deflected out. Dream team will maintain possession.
You can see the impatience on the looks of the faces of the Dream Team, and they're a little bit disappointed, or maybe a lot disappointed, the way they started this game out, and now trying to maybe force things at the offensive end when they get that chance for a fast break.
And it will be U.S. select team in possession. Dream team will play Brazil tomorrow afternoon at the Gund Arena in Cleveland. And we'll be there starting at 4 o'clock Eastern time right here on NBC. Wednesday, they'll play the Chinese Olympic team in Phoenix. Pierce, Skinner with the rebound, had it slapped away, but kept alive. Should be an entertaining visit for Charles Barkley on Wednesday, making the return to Phoenix.
Well, I have a feeling the crowd will welcome him with open arms and a big ovation. They don't seem to be having the problem with Charles as much as Charles did with the management of the Phoenix Suns for supposedly the way they have been shopping him during this summer.
Phillips extends to a 14-point lead. It's the biggest lead of the game. 34-20. Robinson, yes, and it counts. And Robinson will go to the line. Charles Barkley always very careful in framing references by saying that I love the fans of Phoenix. Nothing to do with them at all as you take another look at that gorgeous move by David Robinson.
You know what amazes me, Marv, how people can consider David Robinson soft. Here's the guy who's at 7 feet, slashes in the basket, drives hard, invites contact, loves to get to the free throw line. An outstanding defensive player, but he plays it a little bit on the finesse side when he can. He tries to be cute with it and blocking shots and that type of thing, but soft, no way.
34-23. Here is Taylor. And Barkley did not like the call. He felt last touched by the U.S. select team and had some words for the official, Wayne Unruh. Bailey will throw in. That was three-point range, and the save by Robinson. Green team with Payton and Richmond on the floor with Barkley, Pippen, and Robinson. It counts and the foul. Charles Barkley playing very hard, trying to bring his team back. It is now a 9-point differential.
Well, everybody from Dream Team talking about what a terrific practice they had yesterday, and you can imagine what some of these scrimmages have been like. Here's Charles in the open floor, creating space, head fake, gets everybody up in the air. Charles powers to the basket. Everybody had an outstanding practice with one exception. And this man, Charles Barkley, and nobody wanted him on their team. They kept saying to Lenny Wilkins, hey, put him on another team. We don't want him. He's messing us up.
And no one's shy about relaying that to
No,
Charles.
absolutely not. And Charles thought it was going to cost him some playing time today and immediately started politicking to make sure that he was going to get some.
6-0 run by the Dream Team. They now trail by 8. It's the start of the 5-game exhibition tour, which will lead to the Olympics in Atlanta. Pierce. Pierce and Skinner keeping it alive, and Skinner with the bucket, and he was fouled. Lively body, Brian Skinner, out of Baylor. He'll be a junior next season. Averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds as a sophomore.
Well, Taylor got away with a little bit of a shove on David Robinson to get him out of the way. But when you look at Brian Skinner, he immediately reminds you of a young, even a bigger John Sally. And, of course, the goggles have something to do with that. But his game is very similar to John Sally as well.
Gary Payton coming off a terrific playoff run for the Sonics. Late addition to the squad, to the Dream Team. Robinson. They collapsed on Robinson. Oh, what a pass. And Taylor was fouled. A bullet pass. And Richmond is called for the foul.
Well, Chauncey Billups has become the backup point guard for the Select team. Beautiful no-looker there. Yesterday in practice, he threw one of those, intercepted by the other team, went back the other end. And that was the one time that Mike Montgomery, the coach of this team, got really upset with all of his players for those kind of plays. But this one was a beautiful one by Billups, who was the co-freshman of the year in the Big 8, along with Paul Pierce out of Kansas.
Yeah, Mike Montgomery doing lots of shuffling. It's a 16-man squad that eventually will be cut to 12, and all 16 players figure to play here this afternoon. Tim Young out of Stanford, who just checked in, protecting the ball. And Phillips regrouping against Pippen. Phillips. O'Neal got a piece of it. And here's Pippen on the run. Leading Payton. Nicely executed break by the Dream Team. They now trail by 8 points. Carr with his first field goal attempt. Corey Carr out of Texas Tech extends to a 39-28 lead for Carr, a three-pointer.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Marv, that the main weakness of this young team is their lack of perimeter shooting. They think Anthony Parker can shoot it well. Lewis Bullock is a streaky shooter, but can get on a hot roll from about 18 feet. Pete Lasicki out of Penn State is a pretty good shooter, but the others are very low percentage shooters during their college days. So this is something that Mike Montgomery and his assistants were worried about coming into this ballgame, whether or not they would make any jump shots. That question has been answered at least in the early going.
Well, they're 16 of 26 from the field. Maurice Taylor called for the foul to put Shaquille O'Neal at the line. The Dream Team is at 55%. So it's not as if they're shooting the ball poorly. 11 of 20 overall. And a timeout is called with 7:38 left. First half. Reminder tomorrow starting at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 on the Pacific coast. NBC Sports presents the final round coverage of the U.S. Senior Open from the Canterbury Golf Club in Ohio. Dave Stockton, the third round leader. Coverage beginning at 1 o'clock. And we will follow with the Dream Team going against Oscar Schmidt and Brazil. Oscar still firing from all angles at 38 years of age.
I don't know how he keeps that arm going. That thing caked in ice at 38 years old, able to still find his way open and still get those shots up. He is a machine.
That'll be from Cleveland, from the Gund Arena, 4 o'clock Eastern time, right here on NBC. Barkley, Charles Barkley, with the field goal, and he will go to the line looking for a 6-point, and it's now a 7-point differential.
Well, a couple of days in practice, the Select team worked on doubling down, much as they do in the NBA on a consistent basis, but this team did not do it very well, so he tried to forget about that, just try to play hit up inside. And Mitch Richmond, an outstanding defensive player, probably doesn't get the credit for it that he should because he's such a good scorer. but he is a terrific all-around player. You know, he was one of the last players chosen on this team with Charles Barkley, and of course Gary Payton taking over for Glenn Robinson. But you're hard-pressed to figure out who the 11th and 12th men are on this team. But so far, it's been Akeem Olajuwon and Penny Hardaway, as they have not seen any action.
Off the pressure, turnover gives the ball back to the Dream Team. Payton, nice lead pass from Pippen. So the 14-point lead is now down to 4. Lewis Bullock now running the team at point guard. This is Lasicki from Penn State. And here comes Payton. Broken up by Bullock. Recovered by Barkley. Yes, and it counts. Charles Barkley having a ball out there. He has 8 points. He'll go to the line. It's now down to a 2-point lead.
Yeah, with some of the physiques out here, like Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone, they're just so much stronger than these people. Now, that was a hard foul by Sam Oakey, who can commit hard fouls. He's got one of those international basketball type of bodies. Charles Barkley, I think, was ready for it and able to just go right through it and finish the play.
Sam Oakey, 6'7", 220 pounds, out of Wisconsin, coming off a very solid freshman season. Yes, Charles enjoyed that play. And again, the pressure by the Dream Team. And a foul called on Richmond, his second. Here's Akeem Olajuwon. And Penny Hardaway coming on for the first time. Lenny Wilkins telling us that Penny breathing heavily after the first couple of practices and is getting back into it after taking some time off from basketball following the playoff elimination by the Chicago Bulls.
It might be a little bit of a message from Lenny, and also to Akeem, who was not able to play after his season ended, bothered by the tendonitis in the knee.
And that is a traveling violation. Charles Barkley has led his club back in just a shade over 6 minutes. He's hit 3 of 3 from the field. He has 9 points in all and 4 rebounds. 6.5 remaining in the first half. It is now a 1-point lead for the U.S. Select Team. Olajuwon with his favorite shot.
That's another reason why Mike Montgomery, the coach, did not want to double down. Figured it wouldn't do any good anyway, because Akeem can turn away from that double team and shoot that jumper anytime he wants.
12-0 run by the Dream Team. Lasicki had it knocked away. Here comes Barkley, and it's picked off. Bullock right back. Shooting over Olajuwon. He had Akeem in front of him. It did not matter. And a 41-40 lead for the Select Team. Lewis Bullock out of Michigan. He'll be going into his sophomore season. He averaged 13 a game as a freshman.
Here we see the Select Team going into a little bit of a 2-3 zone for the first time, and we'll see what the Dream Team does against this. Obviously, they'll want to get into the middle of it and then look to attack that baseline.
Pippen with a pretty pass, but it's a 3-second violation.
I asked Lenny last night if they were going to play any zone defense. No, he looked at me like I was crazy. Like, why? We don't have to. But I would think they'd have to do it a little bit to work against it, because I'm sure they will see it come Olympic competition time. They might not even need to work against it. That's all you got to do is get into the middle of that zone and look baseline.
Lenny Wilkins, head coach, of course, of the Atlanta Hawks, a Hall of Famer. As a player, a 9-time NBA All-Star, and he was an assistant to Chuck Daly in Barcelona. Kickball is called. I asked Len if he was going to stay away from pickup basketball games, and he said he would. You recall the injury he suffered final days of the stint as an assistant coach in Barcelona.
A very serious injury to that Achilles tendon, and I'm sure it has kept Lenny playing a lot of golf, too.
Coming up on 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Cheryl Miller from the Palace of Auburn Hills. And Payton is called for the foul. He got a piece of Bullock. Well, there are several differences in the rules between NBA play and international competition.
There we see there's obviously the 6 fouls in the NBA, and not only the 5 fouls of international competition, but if you pick up a technical foul, it counts as a personal foul, so you got to be careful with that. No fines, however, in international play. Not that a lot of these Dream Teamers could afford it.
And both teams are over the foul limit. They've hit 8. This is Lewis Bullock, who is an 85% free throw shooter. He's fouled in the act of attempting a three-point shot, so he has the 3 free throws. And the select team is up 44-40. For those who may have just tuned in, the Dream Team at one point down by as many as 14. Malone able to keep it alive. Payton. And Malone has the pass picked off. Oki for Carr, who has the range and hits. Three-pointer for Carr. That's his second from downtown.
The select team is doing a good job in those situations. A semi-fast break, it gets shut off, and then swinging the ball with a cross-court pass behind the three-point arc, and they've been able to make that shot so far this afternoon.
Nice ball movement, but broken up. A select team with an 8-0 run after the Dream Team ran off 12 unanswered points. Here's Reggie Miller back, replacing Gary Payton. You can see the select team, 5 of 8 from three-point land. Olajuwon, and he was hit on a reach-in. So 2 shots for Hakeem with the select team over the foul limit.
Scottie Pippen's doing a terrific job of passing the basketball, whether it be on the fast break or from the wing or from the baseline, as he was on that situation, finding Olajuwon. And that's really Scottie's, I think, first idea when he is at the offensive end of the floor. A very unselfish offensive player, always looking to make passes, and why he blends in so well with that championship Chicago Bulls team.
During practice sessions this week in Chicago at first, Lenny Wilkins telling us there was a bit too much overpassing, everyone trying to do the right thing. Actually, Olajuwon and Richmond came in a bit heavy, both working it off. And it's obvious here in the first half that the Dream Team a bit on the rusty side when you consider going up against a club that has been together for only, 6 practice sessions. Hardaway called for the foul.
There, Penny Hardaway trying to put a little bit of a pressure on and running into this, I should say getting over that pick.
And now Bullock on the free throw line. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this first half. Coach Mike Montgomery out of Stanford saying that this is not a normal coaching situation. At least he thought it would not be. I don't think he felt there would be any degree or any chance of a competitive situation even here in the first half, because he said, you really can't yell at anyone. You try to be positive. He may begin yelling in the second half.
Karl Malone doing what he does best defensively, and that's strip the ball down low. Very good at that maneuver.
Miller for 3. And rebounded by Young, and here is Carr with a breakaway.
Out on the floor with Penny Hardaway and Scottie Pippen, and when Reggie took that shot from the left corner, both Hardaway and Pippen sneaking in closer to the baseline and maybe going to the offensive glass, and nobody protect the backcourt. But that will happen in an all-star type of situation where players are not used to playing with one another.
Hardaway for 3. Rebounded by Pippen. And Pippen fouled. Grant Hill getting set to check back in.
There's Karl Malone, not really a shot blocker up top, but very good down low. Anybody that puts the ball down in the waist knee area, he's able to skip it. You see all of the Dream Teamers flattened out across what would be the dotted line area. Nobody back on defense, and the Select team getting one of their easiest baskets of the afternoon.
And the catalyst for the USA Select team, who contributed so much to the fast start, Brevin Knight, point guard out of Stanford, is back on the floor. Select team leading 50-42 with just under 3 minutes remaining in this first half. This is Knight with the ball, guarded by Hardaway. Duncan is back, played by Olajuwon. Here's Duncan, blocked and fouled. Foul committed by Akeem.
Well, both Brevin Knight and Tim Duncan did a terrific job at the start of this game, and then sat for a very long stretch. But I think Mike Montgomery felt that wanted to get everybody else into the ball game, get them all involved, and as long as they were either in the lead or close enough, that he would keep those guys out.
Tim Duncan out of St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, the ACC Player of the Year. Began playing basketball in the 9th grade as a 6'1" backcourt man. His first love was actually swimming. Turned to basketball when the growth spurt began. Had he come out, as you mentioned earlier, passed on his senior year at Wake Forest, might have been the top pick in the draft. Thank you, Greg. And tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. Breakfast at Wimbledon as we crown the gentleman's champion, America's Al Washington, meeting Dutchman Richard Krajicek. What a performance earlier today, with Washington, a native of the state of Michigan, defeating Todd Martin in the semis to get to the final. Olajuwon, hopefully with the save.
And it looks like the Dream Team will need some work against the zone. That time just passing the ball around the perimeter and not very crisply at that. And that's really not the best way to attack. You've got to get it in the middle of that thing and break that zone down.
Select team 19 of 30 from the field, 63% shooting. While the Dream Team at 15 of 27. Duncan rejected by Olajuwon.
Now John Stockton on that little pin down, trying to go in a place that you just cannot go. He wanted to get between Olajuwon and Duncan, but you got to trail that man defensively to do a better job with it.
Well, Duncan showing the long-range touch. He has 6 points. Tim Duncan extending to a 54-42 lead. John Stockton, Penny Hardaway now in the backcourt. Here's Reggie Miller for 3. Nice move by Knight. Again, had the notion to penetrate, but came back out. Oki. A wide open Seals. And then as he looked behind him and saw Olajuwon, he's called for steps. A minute 12 remaining in what has been a lackluster first half for the Dream Team. I don't think anyone anticipated that they would be down by as many as 14, then out trailing by 12. Stockton way off.
Well, the Dream Team just settling for those jump shots. They're there. Reggie Miller has had a couple of good looks. Penny Hardaway couldn't get him to fall. And then Stockton with a wild one there.
And we heard a spattering of boos directed to the Dream Team for the very first time. The steal. Knight off the steal. Make it 56-42.
Brevin Knight just doing a terrific job at both ends of the floor.
You know, the Select team can go home right now. There is nothing that can happen in the second half that will ruin their day.
Just lead, go right through the tunnel, get on the bus, say, we did our job.
It's an amazing performance. Of course, it certainly helps to hit your shots, and they've caught the Dream Team on the right day. I expect that things will turn around, and the Dream Team will pull it out by a substantial margin, but the damage has been done here in the first half. I can just see some of the better clubs like Croatia and Lithuania, Yugoslavia thinking, hey, there's a shot.
Well, I wouldn't think Lenny Wilkins is all that upset in that this serves as a wake-up call more than anything he could say to his players in a week of practice. He may not even have to say that much at halftime. He's just going to remember who played best in that first half at the defensive end and get him out on the floor in the second half.
Here's Seals for three. Shea Seals with a three-pointer. A stunning first half by the USA Select team. They end the half on a 20-2 run, and they have embarrassed the United States Dream Team in this first half here at the Palace. 59-42 is the score. A 17-point differential. Greg Gumbel and the halftime report coming up.
Removed from their fourth NBA title. It was an injury-plagued season for Pippen, who is scheduled for ankle surgery next month. Earlier today, I asked Scotty if he had considered skipping the Dream Team to have that surgery earlier.
Well, I think it is an option to some degree whether or not I need surgery, but, you know, I feel pretty good right now. My ankle is not as tender as it was early, I think, when the playoffs started, and I've started to feel much better. So I think after the Olympics, it'll be something that I will evaluate whether or not I need surgery.
In that short time since the end of the season, the Chicago Bulls have re-signed Phil Jackson to a one-year contract. Were you confident that that was going to happen?
Well, I was pretty confident that it was. You know, I think Phil is a very knowledgeable coach. He's great for our basketball team, and you know, I felt like that he was going to get more years than that. But I'm happy that he's happy, and I'm happy to have him back.
Are you as confident that Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman will re-sign?
Well, I feel pretty confident about Michael. You know, I think that, you know, he's been a great role model for basketball, for the organization in Chicago, and I feel pretty confident that they feel like that they owe something to Michael to some degree to have him finish his career there. As far as Dennis, I would love to have him back. I think he's one of the guys that has helped our basketball team get to the next level, get back to the championship, and you know, I feel good about it. I feel good that we're going to have that same team back to have another opportunity to win a title.
We're talking about re-signing people, and that doesn't include you because you're under contract. Does it bother you to see all of these numbers that are flying around these days to people who whose deals are up and are available to free agency?
Well, I don't think it bothers me. You know, I think that, you know, these guys have paid their dues, and, you know, the timing has been right for them, and the moment has come for them, you know, to get paid. So, you know, they've definitely earned it, especially Michael and Dennis, two of the greatest players in the game today. You know, my day will come for me. I'm not going to rush the situation. I'm going to sit back and be patient, and if it happens, good. If it don't happen, then there's nothing that I can complain about. Basketball has been great for me.
Scotty, as you guys get ready for the Olympic Games, can you tell me about the difference in attitude between preparing for a contest during the NBA season and preparing for an event like this?
Well, it's a tremendous amount of difference. You know, I think right now we realize that there's a great deal of pressure on our basketball team to go out and perform as one of the greatest team ever been assembled. You know, we're not compared to the '92 Dream Team, and you know, that says a lot when you have guys such as Larry and Magic and Michael, legends of our basketball game. So, you know, we realize that, you know, we've only had a week of practice, but we still have to go on the court and put it all together. I feel good about our basketball team. I don't think there's anyone out there that can beat us.
Maybe no one out there except for the other team on the court.
Come back to the Palace. Marv Albert, Matt Guokas, Cheryl Miller. Folks, that score is correct. An astounding first half for the U.S. selection team against, Matt, what I felt was a lethargic-looking Dream Team. We all felt coming into today that it would be a blowout, but not necessarily in this direction, although much can happen in the second half.
Well, the first half, I did say a monumental mismatch. I didn't know it was going to be David and Goliath, but the young team came out with no nervousness, no awe, made some shots early and got some confidence going.
A look at the IBM halftime statistics. The select team, 22 of 35, phenomenal shooting, 63%. The Dream Team at 15 of 30, 50%, 6 of 10 from three-point territory for the select team. They are led by Shea Seals, a junior from Tulsa, 6 of 6 from the field in the first half for 14 points. While the Dream Team led by Charles Barkley with 9 points, 4 rebounds in 8 minutes of play. Back with the second half in a moment. Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills, the home of the Detroit Pistons. And this is the site of the first exhibition game for the Dream Team. They're trailing the USA Select Team by 17 as the second half gets underway. The Select Team concluding the first half with a 20-2 run. Akeem Olajuwon gets right to it. And Lenny Wilkens opening up with Olajuwon, Barkley, and Pippen up front. Payton and Richmond in the backcourt. Barkley going for the steal. This is Brevin Knight, who had an outstanding first half. Knight with the penetration, finding Crocier. And the Select Team leads again by 17. Austin Crocier out of Providence College.
But no surprise that Lenny Wilkens has come with Payton, Richmond, and Pippen especially. And, of course, Charles Barkley, who played so well in that first half.
And again, it's Olajuwon. Barkley, the pivotal figure in the game. The 8 minutes that he was on the floor, the Dream Team had a plus 11. Here's Crocier going to a series of moves and coming up short. The 12 minutes that Barkley sat out, the Select Team was plus 28. Oh, Scottie Pippen soaring. And you get the idea there is a different attitude here in the second half on the part of the Dream Team. They were embarrassed in the first half. Seals rejected and then tied up, so it will be a jump ball.
Well, you mentioned how lethargic they looked in general in the first half, and only a few people were getting after it defensively. Beautiful finish by Pippen there against a very good shot blocker in Tim Duncan, but unable to get a piece of that one.
This USA Select Team, a squad that will be competing in August in Puerto Rico, looking to qualify for the World Championships in Australia next summer. This for players 22 years of age and younger. Richmond with the step, and a foul is called.
Number 9.
Let's check in with Cheryl Miller. Cheryl?
Well, Marvin, Matt, obviously Lenny Wilkens not happy with the first half performance, but he was smiling. He said, you know what, this was a great wake-up call. We have to come back out in the second half, play better defense. We got to make sure that we're getting our tails back down the floor. That simply wasn't the case. The other area that he's concerned about is the pressure on the point guard. Brevin Knight and Chauncey did an excellent job of penetrating and breaking down the defense. As you saw them come out in the second half, much better, much more intensity.
All right, Cheryl, you coaches, or in some cases, former coaches, all think alike. You mentioned Lenny would look at it as a wake-up call.
Well, you can't get upset with his team right now, having only practiced 5 days. You never want to come out and play like the Dream Team did in the first half, but you know, looking at the negative things isn't going to get anything done. And really, this is one way for Lenny to get everybody thinking defensively, saying, I don't care who we're playing against or what the odds are that we're going to whip some particular team. Let's come out and set the tone defensively. But quite frankly, John Stockton really didn't do that early in the ballgame against Brevin Knight. Brevin Knight was able to get into the lane and get anything he wanted early.
And Payton gets to the lane. Payton with the rebound. Richmond. And Pippen bottled up and fouled. 2 minutes gone by in the second half. They play 20-minute halves. Seals picks up the foul. The shooting of Shea Seals, instrumental in the first half. He hit 6 of 6 from the floor, 14 points in all.
Don't let him keep on the
61-50, the Select Team on top. Duncan with Olajuwon trailing him up high. Able to find Crocier. Good look by Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan is one of those players who does a little bit of everything. He's really not a power low-post center. A lot of people think he's going to be a big forward when he gets in the NBA. Reminds most people of Brad Doherty, but that was a beautiful feed inside to Crocier.
Pippen, yes. It's a 3 for Pippen. So 10 points for Scottie Pippen. It is a 10-point lead for the Select team.
We see Gary Payton getting a little ground here, not getting up and getting into Brevin Knight as he does respect his penetration right now.
Oh, Shea Seals with a no-look shot from three-point range off the glass. Shea Seals throwing him up from all angles and hitting. Duncan with the rebound. And here's Brashear. Foul. Oh, wallop by Payton.
Well, Shea Seals, who's been a terrific player in the Missouri Valley Conference, making the first team the last couple of years, a good, solid player, averaged 18 a game last year, but he's checking him out, Scottie Pippen, saying, what did you have for breakfast this morning? As he cannot miss from the perimeter. But Shea Seals, just a 42% shooter during his college junior year.
He is Tulsa's all-time leader in three-point field goals. But I don't think he had this kind of day in mind.
Well, he came out right away, had the first shot and that he looked at, he just drilled it, and it's been confidence just ebbing and flowing out of his body ever since.
He's 7 of 8 from the field. He has 17 points. Pippen, and he draws the foul. So again, Pippen to the line.
And it's not like Scottie Pippen is not a good defensive player who is aware of Mr. Seals right now, and the hot hand that he has had is getting up on him. In fact, he made him change that long shot, which is, I think, why it went off the glass. But when you're hot.
The United States will open up their Olympic schedule Saturday, July 20th. Against Argentina. They have their Brevin Knight going all the way, but rejected by Hakeem Olajuwon. Here is Richmond. And rebounded by Duncan. 2-on-1. Brashear. And it's an offensive foul, a charge.
Well, Brevin Knight had his way getting into the lane, penetrating in the first half, and able to release some shot. Actually, Shaquille O'Neal goaltended one in the first half and got away with it. But one of the reasons why Olajuwon is starting in that second half is so good at protecting that basket. The leading shot blocker in NBA history, Hakeem Olajuwon.
4 minutes gone by in the second half. Richmond. Barkley had it slapped away. Open shot for Knight. And the ball goes back to the green team. Timeout taken. The Select team up by 14. We'll be right back.
I wanted to do this was is in the States. My family and friends can come and see me. They didn't get the opportunity to come to Barcelona, and it's the Olympics.
Just to show my respect and my proud, and I'm proud to be an American. I think that you travel a lot of places, but it's nothing like the United States of America, and it's just a way to show that.
It's still the Olympics. It's still the crowning moment of a lot of people's career, and as kids growing up, you always used to watch the Olympics, and you used to make up the opening ceremonies, marching on your front lawn and so forth, and you were always wondering if you were ever going to be a part of that.
Cheryl, can you visualize that parade on your front lawn?
Hey, Marv, I remember having that same dream, but you know what? Ours lasted so short because we didn't have much of a front yard. Marv, Matt?
All right, 15 and a half remaining in the second half, and the USA Select team leading the green team 68-54. And Barkley able to get the jump ball. You know, Matt, you keep anticipating, looking for a run by the green team. They had that one good run in the first half where things will turn around, but it has not occurred, and we're 4.5 minutes into the second half.
Well, to get that run, you have to do something defensively. You got to get some steals. You've got to force some bad shots, and you got to get out and go. And so far, even though the Select team not shooting the ball particularly well here in the second half, they're getting good shots which is enabling him at least to have good floor balance to get back on defense and prevent any runouts.
Foul was called on Corey Carr. That is his third. Lenny Wilkens staying with Richmond and Payton, along with Pippen in a three-guard alignment with Olajuwon and Barkley. Here's Payton. Knight has the 2-on-1, takes it all the way. And back comes Pippen. Payton blows the layup. And Olajuwon is fouled.
An outstanding defensive play by Scottie Pippen on that run out by Brevin Knight, set up on the poor passing by Gary Payton. And Pippen did what you should do when you're taller than a 5'8", 5'9" little guard. It's just keep backing up, make him shoot the ball, don't leave your feet. And he really forced Brevin Knight out of his rhythm. But the one thing that the select team felt that they could do against the Dream Team is get out and run. They expected maybe some poor transition defense, and they have been able to get out and get some good looks to the basket. And we've seen some outstanding outlet passes by Tim Duncan, reminding you a lot of Wes Unseld.
Pressure by the Dream Team. Duncan had established that he was in bounds. He thought he had turned it over when he got the ball back after inbounding. Here's Duncan, rejected by Olajuwon. Taylor. Olajuwon altered that shot. And the select team will maintain possession.
All right, Mike Montgomery over on the sideline, still working the officials there. He felt that Duncan was fouled on that strong post move. We said earlier he is not known as a power player inside, more of a jump hook from the right baseline, more of a face-up shooter.
They double up on Seals, and he threw it away. Again, the select team able to get back. And Barkley beat Duncan to cut it to 10. Charles refusing to give the ball back.
Charles would like to just stay at that offensive end, but that was a slow break situation. Charles did the right thing, just ran down, established some kind of position in front of the rim. Payton patiently waited for him and then delivered.
An exchange between Barkley and the official Lonnie Dixon have called a delay of game. It's the warning on the Dream Team. Seals with a rare miss. Duncan gets it out to Carr. And a reach-in foul charged to Richmond. Fairley was deflected out of bounds by Richmond. No foul. Here's Miller coming on for Richmond. Taylor. And again, it's Duncan on the offensive glass. Taylor had it slapped away. Pippen has a 3-on-2. Pippen slicing his way down the lane. And it's an 8-point select team lead. Scottie Pippen has 13 points.
Well, now you're starting to feel it. The defense is getting much more frisky for the Dream Team, much more active with their hands and ready to get out and run. They know that's how they can get back into this game quickly.
7-0 run by the Dream Team.
We've seen some of the big men for the select team bring that ball down low, and anytime you do that against NBA caliber, you should say legend, really, for that matter, you're going to get that ball taken away from you. Nice job by Pippen.
Olajuwon called on that foul on the double team, and then Payton with the steal. Here's Pippen. Behind the back for Barkley. Miller did not expect the pass. Saved by Olajuwon. It counts. And the foul. And for the first time, you can sense that the Dream Team has something going in sustained fashion. They are now within 6, plus the free throw coming up for Akeem.
Well, there's some of that overpassing that Lenny Wilkens was talking about during the practice session. Although Barkley was sealed off, did the right thing, and then Reggie Miller just lost the ball, but there Olajuwon able to clean up on the weak side.
Olajuwon cutting for his 11th point. 3-point play. The select team with a 68-63 lead. A 10-0 run by the Dream Team. We'll be back at the Palace in a moment. Dream Team. Tomorrow they'll play Brazil tomorrow afternoon starting 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on NBC. That game to take place at the Gund Arena in Cleveland. Wednesday, they go up against the Chinese Olympic team in Phoenix on TNT. And then Friday, July 12th, they face the Australian Olympic team in Salt Lake City, also a TNT game. And a week from tomorrow, Sunday, July 14th, we'll be back with you at 1 o'clock Eastern Time as the United States takes on the Greek Olympic team at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. 10-0 run by the Dream Team. They are now within 5 after trailing by as many as 17, and you can see the pressure by the Dream Team. A foul on Peyton. Peyton trying to strip Bullock.
I was talking to Rod Thorne, a part of the selection committee, before the ballgame. Asked him why Peyton and not Sean Kemp, who a lot of people felt might make this team. And Rod said we needed a backcourt player who could get up and pressure the basketball, disrupt the other team's point guard, make plays. And that's what they felt they needed with this team. Not that Sean Kemp didn't deserve to make it, but they felt the team was loaded with front court players.
Nice move by Lewis Bullock out of Michigan. And right back, Scottie Pippen on the transition. He now has 15 points. It's a 5-point lead for the select team.
That really bothered Coach Mike Montgomery. They know that the Dream Team is going to be able to score in a lot of different ways. They just do not want to give up those kinds of easy baskets in transition when you should be back.
Taylor not able to hit. And here comes Peyton. Lenny Wilkins staying with this unit in the second half, although he started Richmond. He came on with Miller. Olajuwon off the good ball movement. It's down to a 3-point lead. 11:50 to go in the second half. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Cheryl Miller from the Palace of Auburn Hills. Pierce with the ball fake. Pippen did not go for it. Again, Peyton all over Bullock. Bullock getting the pick. Shot clock down to 2, down to 1. Pierce releasing. Olajuwon. And Barkley with the rebound and lost the handle.
Well, everybody up playing defense for the Dream Team, led by the pressure by Peyton, but that gets everybody else playing defense as well. The wing player, Scottie Pippen, and here Charles Barkley getting up and getting after people. And Charles knows if he goes out there and hustles defensively, he's going to get his team back into this ball game, get him a lead, and of course we'll get some more playing time, which is what he wants down the road.
Pierce for 3. Taylor, oh, spectacular sweeping stuff on the follow by Maurice Taylor of Michigan. And the crowd loved it. Maurice Taylor, 6'8", 230 pounds. He grew up in Detroit and plays his college ball at Michigan. Olajuwon, yes. 72-69, the select team with the lead.
Charles Barkley is getting a little bit tired, and that time he lost contact with Maurice Taylor. Didn't really know where he was at all. Turned and felt he was going to get the rebound himself, and that's what enabled Taylor to get in there for that stuff.
Bullock went to the crossover. Oh, Pierce threw the foul. Strong move by Paul Pierce out of Kansas. Foul on Olajuwon is 3rd.
Well, Charles Barkley just turned his head and got to rebounding position and never laid the body on Maurice Taylor, who had a clear path right in there with nobody in front of him able to finish off that play. And Maurice Taylor has that big, strong NBA-type power forward body, but has been a little bit of a disappointment in their workouts because he's been injured much of the time, has been bothered by a bad hamstring.
Tim Duncan sitting down. Mike Montgomery doing some shuffling as Paul Pierce goes to the line. The California Player of the Year as a senior at Inglewood High School in the shadow of the Great Western Forum, the home of the Los Angeles Lakers. Paul Pierce entering his sophomore year at Kansas.
A lot of people, Marv, are saying he's the best high school player to come out of Southern California since Ed O'Bannon, who will be going into his second year with the New Jersey Nets.
Well, Pippen lost the dribble. Payton on the recovery, and Pippen brings it to a 2-point select team lead. And Pippen pressing Bullock on the inbounds, was looking for the steal with the opportunity to tie it. Bullock for three. And Miller with the rebound. Here's David Robinson for Hakeem Olajuwon. Lenny Wilkins going with the two centers. He has threatened to go with three with O'Neal, Robinson, and Olajuwon, but that has not occurred to this point.
Well, a tough break for the select team. Looked like they had a fast break opportunity, but this is why Gary Payton was the defensive player of the year. Plays like that, able to sense what is happening on the floor at all times, could read the eyes of the ball handler there, just stepped into the passing lane and took away an easy opportunity from the opponent and got an easy one for his team.
Yes, the glove picked one off and then was able to set up Pippen. Here's Pierce. Skinner. And Pippen able to protect against Bailey. Miller for three. Easton off. He hit his first three-pointer, but has not been able to relocate the range. Grant Hill checking back in, replacing Scottie Pippen, and a hand for Pippen. 17 for the Chicago Bulls All-Star.
Oh, no question. Pippen, Barkley, and Payton able to get the Dream Team back into this ballgame.
Pippen 6 of 9 for the field. Robinson getting position, and he has tied the game at 73. So the Dream Team has come from a 17-point deficit. A 20-5 spurt to tie it. Skinner, rebound Robinson. On the acceleration, foul. He'll go to the line. The select team is already over the foul limit. Foul committed by Phillips.
Actually, the select team has had some good looks at the basket, some good shots, but right now they're getting a little bit worn down at the offensive end. They don't have their good little point guard, Brevin Knight, in there, so everything seems to get a little bit out of whack, and now the makeable shots aren't going, and definitely the momentum in the favor of the Dream Team because of their aggressive defense overall in the second half.
So the Dream Team with the lead for the first time since it was 40-39. They opened up with the three-pointer by Reggie Miller. It was close throughout the first half, and then the select team able to pull away with that 20-2 close to the first half. With just under 8 minutes remaining, second half. Pierce picked off by Miller. Here's Hill trying to get it to Payton.
Grant knew he had Payton going in on the left side and tried to make a pass off balance and not act exactly under control, but that'll happen.
Timeout is called. We'll be right back. Quiet game to this point for the hometown favorite, Grant Hill. And for Grant, the Olympic experience has much meaning.
By far, this is the highlight of my career, my short career. I think, you know, I'd put the gold medal here, and maybe a notch above that, a world championship. But that's the only thing that can equal or surpass a gold medal is a world championship. And, you know, my goal is to have two before my career is over with.
Well, Lenny Wilkins had Grant Hill in the starting lineup here this afternoon here at the Palace. Played 9 minutes, took only one shot, 1 of 1 for the field for 2 points. The Dream Team with a 74-73 lead with 7:46 to go in the second half.
I'm a little surprised that Grant Hill did not mention his being a part of 2 NCAA championships his freshman and sophomore year at Duke.
Phillips for 3. Yes. Chauncey Billups out of Colorado, who will be entering his sophomore season as a freshman. He averaged just under 18 points per game. He's given the select team a 2-point lead. And Robinson was tied up and fouled by Ryan Skinner. Back, the first 23 minutes of the game, the Dream Team with only 2 fast break points. The last 9 minutes, 13 fast break points. That has helped to turn it around. They had outscored the select team 21-5 over that span.
A lot of credit has to go to Brevin Knight. He did such a good job early in the ballgame of controlling the tempo. And, of course, when you're making shots, that makes everything go much better also, because you're not going to run that much out of the net. But since he has gone to the bench, the select team is, of course, not as sharp. They don't really have a backup point guard. They're using Chauncey Billups some. They're using Lewis Bullock. But they're not really natural point guards and not really comfortable getting the select team into any kind of easy offense.
David Robinson with 10 points, and he's tied the game at 76. Phillips being watched by Payton. Payton with the steal. 3-on-1. The lead for Hill, but it was overthrown. Oh, the crowd wanted that one.
Well, Gary Payton is used to throwing that up for Sean Kemp, who probably can get up just a wee bit higher than Grant Hill, although Grant Hill has had some spectacular alley-oops as well. But Karl Malone did a terrific job there of helping out Gary Payton on that steal to start that fast break attempt.
Robinson got a piece of it, but Skinner recaptured, and the foul call.
Well, no ball handled, no pass is easy right now, as the Dream Teamers are really getting after it defensively.
David Robinson with his 4th foul. Here's John Stockton replacing Gary Payton. Not a sharp day for Payton, but made some big plays here in this Dream Team comeback the last few moments. In international play, on the 5th foul, the player is disqualified rather than 6 in the NBA. And a foul on Duncan. That is his 3rd. Select team is over the foul limit. Teams go over the foul limit in international play with their 8th. And David Robinson is back at the line.
They take a look at Lenny Wilkens. He's going to have to get his team ready on the fly, playing a lot of games this week. And of course, that's a difficult way to do it. On the other hand, with a group like this, trying to get things done in practice is so hard because they really get after each other and go very hard. But they're not really working on things as much as getting themselves in shape, getting in condition, getting familiar with one another as far as their timing is concerned.
I would think in the long run there'll be very few problems. You look at the big picture here, certainly a disappointing performance by the Dream Team. But I think the post-game explanation will be, well, we've been rusty, we haven't played together. There will be many who will not accept that, though, because you look at the college kids, and they're certainly in the same situation, and you look at the difference in the talent level, you say, what's going on here? Stockton hitting on the reverse. That is his first field goal.
Yeah, the excuse of, hey, these are just young college kids. How can we get up for them? That won't necessarily fly. But I think the NBA players will be freely admitting that they just did not come out mentally ready and did not come out and do anything at the defensive end. And that's how they got themselves in that big hole in the first half.
Foul committed by Karl Malone. And now Brevin Knight returns, replacing Chauncey Billups. 5:45 remaining in the second half. From long range, Shea Seals That is his 4th from downtown. He has 20 points in all. He's hit 4 of 4 three-pointers. The Dream Team now leads 80-79.
That was Oscar Schmidt range at about 30 feet.
And the foul on Crocier, his 4th. So Malone for the line. And we'll get a close-up look at the 38-year-old Oscar Schmidt. Still pumping from all angles for the Brazilian team. That'll be tomorrow, right here on NBC, 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
Karl Malone has adjusted now to the new 5-second count in international competition, when normally during NBA play was taking all of those 10 seconds available to him, and the Seattle people would say he went over that limit many times.
3-point lead for the Green Team. And John Stockton is called for the hand check foul. So for the Dream Team, their 6th foul.
And Karl Malone just popped Brevin Knight. He picked on the smallest guy on the floor.
He just shoved Knight. Upset about something. I don't know if Knight made a remark to Malone. Duncan. And Malone with the rebound. Karl is not out there fooling around.
Oh, he's obviously frustrated, disappointed with the way that he has played. Really hasn't been able to get into anything, and obviously upset with the way his team is playing. And I'm sure a lot of players on the Dream Team very frustrated.
Here's Reggie Miller. So Miller taking it to the basket, and the Dream Team leads 84-79. Nice pass picked off by Malone. Stockton with Malone and broken up by Knight. You okay? Good job by Knight to get back.
Well, you got to always respect Reggie Miller's ability to shoot from the perimeter. You got to get up into him, but Reggie will put it on the deck and get to the hole, as he did very nicely on that opportunity.
Hill. Oh, beautiful move by Grant Hill.
Boy, Grant Hill looks bigger than me. He has bulked up, he has hit the weights, and that can only help him because he played a ton of minutes for Detroit last year and had to do so much. Did a lot of the ball handling and playmaking, did a lot of the rebounding, and of course a lot of the scoring, and a big reason why Doug Collins' Pistons had such a terrific regular season.
Yes, Grant Hill, the only player in the NBA to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists. Foul was called on Stockton. And Brevin Knight, who is a superb free throw shooter, 85%, shooting a couple. First team all Pac-10 the past 2 years, led Stanford, averaged 15 points and 7 assists, and has really made his mark here this afternoon. Not too many people have seen Brevin Knight play. Great job done by this U.S. Select team. The coaching staff with Mike Montgomery, along with Bill Harrion, the head coach at Drexel, and Karl Malone extending to an 88-81 lead. Oliver Purnell was the head coach at Dayton. In all our conversations the last couple of days, here's Hill to put it down. And the Dream Team now leads 90-81. It was merely a question of by how many points would this U.S. Select team be blown out, and that certainly was not the case, as they led by as many as 17 points. Parker not able to hit, and the Dream Team on a roll. Miller, miscommunication with Robinson. He thought Robinson was headed the other way. Timeout is called. 3:23 remaining in the game, and 9-point advantage for the Dream Team. You are Mr. Rock and Roll. He is going back to the name Prince.
I'm very happy about that. Yes. I'm not sure.
The USA Select team at 1 point led by as many as 17. A 37-13 run in the second half, turning things around. The Select team with 63% shooting in the first half, 9 of 15 from three-point range. But in the second half, the Select team shooting only 27%, and the Green team at 63% from the field. Coming up on 3 minutes to go in the game, and a 9-point lead for the Dream Team. The Select team just 7 of 26 from the field in the second half after the hot shooting at the start. And on the turnover, the Green team will get it back. John Stockton on the floor now with Reggie Miller, Grant Hill, David Robinson, and Karl Malone.
Going into their 2-3 zone defense, which gave the Dream team a little bit of a problem in that first half. Because they'll be content just to move the ball around and use some clock and get out of here with at this point.
They'll be delighted to leave with the W. Whoa, look out. Karl Malone off the fake.
Anthony Parker just flipping over the back of Karl Malone and falling very, very hard on that left shoulder. Reggie Miller over to make sure that Parker is okay.
Anthony Parker out of Bradley, the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Oh, hit the deck hard. But says he's all right. Parker committed a foul, and it's Malone to the line. 10-point lead for the Dream Team. The original Dream Team back in 1992, cruising to the Olympic gold medal. In the Olympic competition, winning by an average of nearly 44 points per game. And there will be comparisons. This is only exhibition play, but you know there will be comparisons. Taylor showing the touch, but returning from that team are Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen and Karl Malone, David Robinson, and John Stockton. Here's Parker, blocked from behind by Hill. Knight finding Seal for three. That's the first time he's missed from three-point range. And Miller pops it down. Oh, a little bit too much on it.
Nice job by Grant Hill not giving up on this play as Stockton being borne down on by Parker, but Hill trailing the play, not taking anything for granted, coming from behind. And how about that high, hard one on the pass attempt by David Robinson. Looks like Randy Johnson out there.
A minute 51 remaining of the game. The Green Team leading 92-83.
Today's game is brought to you.
Well, Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley enjoying the moments on the bench as we wind down with a minute and 45 remaining. And Stockton able to tie up Knight. The Dream Team with a 92-83 lead. In an unlikely scenario, they were down by as many as 17 points. Extraordinary shooting by the Select team in the first half, led by Shea Seals of Tulsa, who was the high man for the Select team with 20 points on 8 of 11, 4 of 5 from three-point range.
Well, this Select team coming into this game a little bit worried about getting blown out, but looking for the experience, try to learn from some of the great NBA players that they were playing against. They're really trying to come together a little bit as a team. They felt they were just fodder for the Dream Team, but really coming out of this with much more than that. A tremendous experience that I'm sure they'll remember for the rest of their lives, no matter what else happens.
John Stockton called for the foul, putting Brevin Knight at the line. Outstanding performance by Brevin Knight. 21 minutes, 6 points, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers, but he made this team go in that extraordinary first half. A minute and a half remaining. Stockton, and the Green Team leads 94-85. Here's Taylor, had it slapped away by Malone. Tough angle shot by Chauncey Billups, and the Green Team leads 94-87. from the media criticism point of view, the fact that this game is being played late Saturday afternoon will avoid a lot of the critiquing because they get right back to it on Sunday, and it may not be enough time for all the columnists and reporters around the country to really get a feel for what took place here today. Scottie Pippen, our Visa player of the game, 6 of 9 from the field, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought it was the combination of Pippen and Barkley and Olajuwon and the defensive play of Payton in the second half that turned things around for a team that was struggling most of the way.
And that's the message that Lenny Wilkens wanted to get across to all 12 of his team members, that this is the kind of defense that they're just going to have to come out and play on a consistent basis, no matter what the score is, no matter whom they're playing against.
96-89, 7-point lead for the Green Team. Taylor got a piece of it. Stockton checking the clock. Robinson. And we're down to a half minute to go. Phillips not able to hit it to hanging. Here's Malone. And Duncan with the rebound with 15 seconds remaining. The select team will maintain possession. Mike Montgomery, the head coach at Stanford.
Did a terrific job with his team. Actually, on those last possession, they're only down by 7. Probably should have been looking for a three-pointer, not aware of the clock.
Oh, what a pass. Knight setting up Duncan, who will go to the free throw line. Foul committed by Miller. We're down to 7 3/10 seconds left in the game.
I got a chance to talk to Tim Duncan before the game and asked him about how tough a decision was it for him not to come into the NBA draft this year. He said it was very difficult, went right down to the closing minutes, but he wanted to finish his education. He's a very good student at Wake Forest, and he also feels very strongly that his team at Wake Forest has an excellent chance of winning an NCAA title. So Dave Odom, I'm very happy to have Tim back for next season.
Tim intent on getting his degree in psychology, said he promised his mother that he would get it. Final seconds, and the Green Team breathing a sigh of relief as they escape with a 6-point win over a group of college players, the USA Select Team that did a job against a Green Team that was on the lethargic side, no question about it, in the first half. The final 96-90. The high point meant Scottie Pippen with 17, Akeem Olajuwon with 16, Karl Malone with 13 points, and Shea Seals of Tulsa led the USA Select Team with 20. 8 of 11 shooting 4 from three-point range. Let's go to Cheryl Miller. Cheryl?
Thanks a lot, Mark. Now, Charles, I know you're smiling right now, but moments ago you were shaking your head. Obviously, you have to be disappointed, even though you guys did win.
Oh, I'm not disappointed. I mean, number one, obviously we're not going to try to kill these guys like we would do somebody from a foreign country. We've only been practicing about 4 days, and the kids obviously were pumped for the game. And maybe it taught us a lesson that we got to go out and try to kill everybody.
It had to serve as a wake-up call. It seemed like in the first half you guys came out flat, and defensively it just simply wasn't there in the first half.
Well, we did not play very good defense. But, you know, it's one of the situations, it's going to take time. I mean, you don't put a team this together this good in 1 week. We're still learning each other. And the kids been together. They, obviously, are really pumped for the game. But the main thing is, I mean, the Olympics don't start for another 2 weeks, and we got to get better.
Obviously, you play Brazil tomorrow. Where do you go from here?
Oh, we kill them. They're not from this country.
All right, let's go back to you, Mark.
Charles always with a way of capturing the essence of the situation. Yes, it will be the Green Team against Brazil tomorrow afternoon at the Gund Arena in Cleveland, 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on NBC. That'll be tomorrow starting at 4. That's the story tonight here on NBC. Again, the final score, the Green Team 96, USA Select Team 90. Marv Albert, Matt Cheryl Miller saying so long.